Hello, everyone. Hi, it's Diane Holmes, and I'm the Miracy Evangelist, which I know a lot of you already know that. And you know me because you've attended one of the webinars that I've done for Course Builders Laboratory, a webinar or workshop, one of those. So anyway, I am wanting to talk to you about my own personal, course business. I actually do courses on my own, and so I'd put out a little post asking if you guys wanted to know about the roadblocks I'd hit and kind of what I'd done for my sales page. And there seemed to be some interest, so I thought I would kind of talk to you and tell you all those things that I wish that like I knew before I did stuff, because you always tend to find out stuff the hard way. So I my very first pilot that I did was teaching fiction writers. It was Genius Pacing Academy. I was teaching pacing, which is how to keep the reader gripped by, the story. And you know what? I love that. Like I'm really passionate about fiction writing and about teaching the craft of fiction and the craft of pacing, and which is something I invented. And I love that, right? But I actually have a lot of passions, and I had to choose between many ideas when I did my very first pilot. Um, but something happened from between the time that I did my first pilot and now, and that is that I went to work for Miracy and I started doing webinars, and I love them, right? So I'm passionate about that. And it taps into a lot of things because when you're creating a webinar, you're actually doing a lot of writing, as well as you have to know a lot about marketing. And, I have a degree in marketing. I was, like a long time. I mean, like I study it for fun because I love it so much, and I just love the power of what entrepreneurs like you and I can do, whether it's for courses or coaching or whatever kind of offer you have. But what you can do in a webinar, and I had experienced it firsthand, is create wonderful relationships, right? And teach really valuable content and change people's lives, whether they buy from you or don't buy from you. You're making a difference. And then at the end, for people who it's they would like your help and they'd like to go further, you get to present an offer. And if you've done your job well, like all the groundwork has been laid. Really, everything you taught, honestly, taught the value of the offer, and there's not really much selling left to do. And so it's a really nice a nice way to invite people in. So anyway, pretty passionate about webinars, but it was not been smooth sailing in getting to. I've just launched my pilot. I mean, this is the sales page that you're seeing right now on the screen, and it's called Damn Good Webinar. That's the URL, damngoodwebinar.com. But just switching gears in itself and leaving something that you really love behind can be really hard. And seizing another opportunity um, is, and it can feel like a leap, and it really can feel like shifting gears is really rough, and you kind of feel it, but you throw yourself in. I think that part of success is in building a successful business is you really do have to be all in, and be willing to just be in the middle of it and adopt it and do it. So anyway, so I had gotten some incredibly good advice. Some of that advice really was from Danny Inney, who had told me for a long time that I really should do focus on teaching copywriting and things like that. Um, and so I decided to go forward. And what do you do? Well, I teach what to do all the time, and I really believe in it. So I went back to Course Builders Laboratory, and I went through module 2, which is the research module, and I did strategy calls. That's the method that I chose to do. And I reached out, and I had about 16 or 17 people that I did strategies calls with. And if you're not familiar with it, it's a process where basically you offer to help people, and you do. Like that's the whole purpose of the call. And while you're talking to people, like whatever their concerns are, their problems, you learn a lot, right? So that's the research piece. But it's not meant to sell anything. It's not that. It's just sitting down with them, and I did it over Zoom, which is really nice. I could see their faces, and I could talk and really listen. I love that. And what I learned was that what I thought I was going to do as my offer was of no interest. Really, it didn't necessarily connect with anyone. What it turned out, I was going to focus on the webinar narrative, which is just that piece of the offer of it's the conversation that you run all the way through your webinar. And it's actually very tricky to do. It is the most important part, but it takes a lot of inside knowledge and education to understand why that's what you should value. But outside of that education and knowledge, what I also learned was um, that for some people, they really just they believed they could do it on their own. And so they weren't even interested in anything at all, which is completely fair, right? It's a good thing for me to know. And those people who were interested, they didn't want just one piece. They wanted, like the whole thing. So anyway, I went through all of these calls, and I would tell you, it takes a lot of energy to do those calls. I was exhausted, and it doesn't sound like there's that many calls, but pulling that off and really showing up and paying attention and being helpful, used a lot of my energy up. So anyway, I just kind of had that moment where I realized, well, not what I shouldn't do my offer, right? Not that, and which is hard. That's I think for a lot of people it's crushing and they actually will stop. I really do realize that that just saved me a lot of time. I'm not a fan of failure. I have worked really hard in the past to fail, and I'm just like not interested in failure. I really do want to know how to succeed. And I wanted to pay attention to this. So I turned and I got expert advice. I'm actually in the ACES program. I have a coach, and I have other people I can talk to. And but I believed the research, and I also believed at the very same time that there is something that people do want. So it's not a matter of no, not this. You can't do anything and be successful, right? It's a matter of not this, something else, which will actually succeed. And that's what I need to find. But I wasn't really clear on what that was. And so I continued to get really expert advice. I just totally believe that it pays to listen to wise voices, and that if the only voice you listen to is yourself, then the only knowledge you're going to get is the knowledge you already have. And so, anyway, it was kind of a process where I latched onto something. I got some really good advice, and I went in a certain direction of developing a course, and it was just awful and miserable. And I kept trying to write sales pages, and I'm talking thousands and thousands of words, trying to write the sales page. Nothing is working. At least I didn't feel like anything is working. I'm also getting feedback that, like I'm really scattered. I'm still not targeting like a specific person. It's like I'm trying to solve too many people's problems, too many angles. And I knew it was true, right? And so you keep backing up and, like you pause and you kind of back up to get some perspective. And I was doing this over and over and over again. And what I finally realized was that there was something about the offer that I was creating that I wasn't excited about, that wasn't working for me. And this is something that you see in writer's block. When you have writer's block, it can be because there's actually a real problem there. It's not just that you have like your creativity is stalled out and you need a vacation or you need a creativity coach. It could just be like there's a problem in what you're doing, and this is the sign that there's a problem. So I ended up kind of creating my own technique of solving it and looking at what is it that I really want to do, that I am excited about. And I went through that process and realized that none of that was incorporated. The things I really love doing, that I'm genius at, that I would show up every day, I would wake up happy to do, they weren't in that course. So I then stopped and set aside sales pages and said, I need to create this course. And by creating, I don't mean I went out and I shot videos and all of that. I'm talking about I created the outline of the course and I created the way it would run so that the things that I love, like brainstorming, like helping people make leaps, like there's certain pieces of work that I really love, love, love doing. And that I would be talking about it in a way that I loved. Because honestly, one of the approaches, so like for webinars, um, I was really at one point going after people who were really, like they hated sales, right? They don't like sales, and so it was going to be you could do a premium webinar and you don't even have to sell, right? Something along those lines. And what I realize is I love sales. Sales is how you help people. Sales is how I've gotten, the most transformative bits of my life, the things that have helped me the most, I bought. So like I have a degree in marketing. I have a long line of a long history of believing that like you do sales with integrity, and it's how you serve people. It's how you change the world. And I didn't want the message at all that I didn't want to be speaking to people who hate sales. If you hate sales, go somewhere else. And I want to talk to people who are all in and who are ready to do it but need my help. And that I wanted to incorporate brainstorming. So that is like giving you a lot of details, hoping that you can see how it's like these subtle nuances become big deals to us as we're moving forward. So once I recreated the course, I looked at that and I was so excited. And so now I had to create the sales page. So here's what happened is that I was banging my head on it. And because you can get really tangled in the words, there's a lot of messaging. And even if you know what you're doing, it can get really dense and like it's almost like you're strangling in all the words and there's not a lot of clarity. So I tried some different ways of doing it. I actually recorded myself just verbally giving a sales page. Here's what I would say, and then if I didn't know what I would say, I would be like, I need something here, and it would be something that did this. I talked myself through it, and I got a transcript of that, and then I set everything aside, and then I wrote the sales page that you see here. And I think what I'm going to do is do a separate video that I'll step you through what is actually in this sales page. But along the way, during all of this time, I had surgery. I moved, and it was like getting rid of 30 years of stuff. I was very ill and over and over again. And also, like, I had prescription issues. I mean, it was just there were so many things going on, and this is always the case when you're starting a business that you don't get to leave your life, right? Behind. And so I'm having, challenges in my own life and challenges in trying to move forward. And I wanted to quit over and over again, sometimes several times a day. I thought I could not do it. I thought I couldn't pull it off. I don't have the skills. This will never, like whatever it is, the mind stuff that goes through it. Um, and I was struggling. I was working, like really hard trying to push this forward at a time that was also very difficult. And here's the trick. I didn't listen to myself. I got back up over and over again. It's like I didn't care how many times during the day I thought I was going to fail, I wasn't going to be able to do it. I did not listen and I kept going. And if I did, because sometimes you really do have those periods where you just it's like you just it's not going to happen, right? I would just get back up again. I would give myself a little bit of time to feel bad about it. And then I'd get back up again. And when things matter to you greatly, this is when all that mind talk and the difficulty really happens. Because if it didn't matter, then I just have to be having fun, right? It's just an experiment. But it does matter. I'm really creating my future. I'm creating, will I have money or not? Will I pay my rent or not? Will I be able to have prescriptions? I mean, like all of those like real basic things. This is, this business will solve that for me. In addition, it will allow me to change the world doing something I love, something I'm passionate about. So if you find yourself wanting to give up a lot, or thinking you're the only one who just gets bogged down, feels like you're strangled by everything, it's not working out, you can see that I had a lot of that and I still got there. I'm still launching my pilot, right? I'm still to the point where I'm going to find out, wow, is this going to work or not? And I hope it does. I really hope it does. Um, but like you have a friend, this is normal. This is the stuff that's behind the scenes on almost everybody's journey. It's just that you don't see it. And so you can feel very alone. And we're all doing this from home pretty much. And so you really are isolated. but it's not true. Like this, your experience really is the common experience. And things will be difficult and you will overcome them and you will get there and you will reach out to people. It is so important. I'm still a student in Course Builders Laboratory. Even though I'm the Miracy Evangelist, I go out and I teach other people about this. I actually still consider myself a student because I want to get the benefit of expert strategies. I want to show up in that way. I want to use my coach. I want to reach out to the people I know who are wiser. And, that's valuable and happening. So, anyway, I hope you have a great time in launching your pilot and your course. And reach out. If you get stuck, I will definitely tell you, hey, I've been there. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.